The Nissan Qashqai has faced strong competition in recent years, particularly from Chinese small SUVs like the Haval Jolion and the MG ZS. But it's also faced competition from segment favourites like the Hyundai Kona and the Mitsubishi ASX. But Nissan has stepped it up with a 300,000 kilometre 10-year conditional warranty, revised styling and largely unchanged pricing. So, how competitive is the Qashqai now? Let's find out. The Qashqai's styling is pretty similar to what it was before. The rear end has had some minor tweaks, which you might want to put an old one next to just to compare, but the biggest difference is at the front end. There's been some really significant changes to the styling of the headlights and also the front grille here. Apart from that though, pretty similar to what we had before. The Qashqai's interior design is modern and clean, but it doesn't have the flashy features that some other SUVs this size have got. So while it's not quite the car that you might invite your neighbours over to come and see the interior of when you first drive it into your driveway, it's a really easy to operate. Everything's where you expect it sort of interior. The screen is not the biggest in the category, but also, you know, the trade-off is that you've got some buttons on the dash instead of everything being embedded in the screen. And I think a lot of drivers still these days think that's a very important element to have in their cars, because it allows them very quick access to the functions that they want and need to be operating straight away. But that's critical as well. The gear levers are pretty close to a standard sort of automatic shifter that you do physically move rather than a twirly little knob. There's phone charging, there's cup holders where you expect them. Driving position is comfortable. The seat adjustability does allow for a very wide range of body sizes. You can adjust the seat right forward as well. So it's a great range of drivers that the car can accommodate. It's a bigger car than a lot of the other small SUVs in this category. So that also means that there's some good visibility out of the back seat. There's reasonable head and leg room in the back as well, even with the driver's seat adjusted for my driving position. While the infotainment screen in the new Qashqai isn't particularly big, it does have pretty good resolution and it is bigger than it was in the previous model. In terms of boot size, so this is the petrol model. This has got a slightly lower floor in the boot than the hybrid does, which needs to accommodate the battery under the floor of the boot there as well. The Qashqai also has a very convenient feature whereby when you approach the vehicle with a key in your pocket, it automatically unlocks, and when you walk away, it automatically locks. Really handy in summer when the ground's really hot and you've got bare feet, or days like today when it's pouring with rain. On the road in the Qashqai, it's really doesn't bring any surprises in terms of the way it drives. It's pretty sharp handling, little city SUV. The fact that it does what you expect it to do in traffic, it handles fine. We're on some pretty wet roads right now, and as a front-wheel drive car, particularly a little turbocharged engine which can sometimes have trouble getting the power to the ground, this does okay. It's not too aggressive, and you tend to get that with more performance focused front-wheel drive cars, particularly in the wet. They tend to struggle for grip. The big difference to be aware of though is that between the petrol-only Qashqai, the 1.3 litre petrol turbo, and the Qashqai hybrid, which has got the battery and the 1.5 litre turbo engine, which there really is a big difference between the two, particularly in the acceleration. This one we're in now is a petrol only. That does take a bit more time to get going off the mark in traffic. There's also a big difference in the fuel economies of those two drivetrains, and if you do your research, you'll see on the standardised test for this 1.3 petrol, it gets around 6.1, I think, litres per 100. The other one for buyers to be aware of with this Qashqai is that in both models, both the hybrid and this petrol only model, they both need 95 RON fuel, and that's a little bit of an extra expense that will be ongoing in the ownership of the car. The Qashqai's 5-star ANCAP safety rating continues with this 2025 model, with safety gear including auto braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection as well as junction assist, all from the base ST model. So what do we like about the new Nissan Qashqai? Well, the e-Power hybrid system gets much closer to driving like an EV without the car needing to be plugged in. Pricing hasn't changed much since 2024, and while that 10-year warranty does have its conditions, at 300,000 kilometres, it's a market leader. And what don't we like about the new Qashqai? Well, taller drivers are going to want a bit more headroom, and the e-Power hybrid isn't quite as economical as a conventional hybrid. And $61,000 plus is a lot for a small SUV that's a mainstream vehicle, even if it is the top of the range. The new Nissan Qashqai can be had with the same user-friendly hybrid system as before, but it now has a 300,000 kilometre 10-year warranty, as well as equipment upgrades, including a larger infotainment screen, as well as wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which start from the base petrol model. Plus, the value of the entry-level and the mid-spec models has improved, given the pricing hasn't really changed yet. With that in mind, make sure the Qashqai is on your test drive shortlist.